Hi, welcome back to my happiness channel. I'm Harry Siegel. I'm a clinical psychologist on faculty at Cornell University, and I put together this channel for my students who are taking a course entitled Pursuing Happiness. But as I always say at the beginning of these musings on happiness, I call them spots. Everyone is welcome, and I'm glad you're here. Today, I want to take a bit of a foray into a complicated topic and one that I can't hope to cover even the essentials or some of the essentials in this recording. But maybe it's a way of beginning a conversation with you about materialism. I teach very ambitious undergraduates. Not only have they achieved a lot to come to Cornell, but Cornell is not a school known for being easy or even being a happy place. And my students are more than ready or eager to defer pleasure so that they can achieve their ambitious goals of going to med school or law school or becoming profs or engineers, you name it. They've all got a path. But not only am I teaching many students, but many of them come back to visit. And what I've found is that those students whose goal is to become rich, who major in business and go on to do marketing, data science, fintech, and that kind of thing, they often enjoy it for a while. But then they contact me 5 or 6 years later and wonder with me about whether they should have become a therapist or whether they should have become a researcher. They're remembering things that they enjoyed when they were in school. I used to run something called a field practicum, where I had 20 students in their 4th year doing play therapy with children in local elementary schools. And many of them were considering a career in clinical psych or social work, but others had other reasons for taking the course. And I remember about 15 years ago, I had a really talented student, a young man. He was just so deft and insightful. And he was applying to law school. And I used to say to him, "Are you sure?" And he said, "Oh, no, I really want to be a lawyer." In fact, he got into Cornell Law, which is very hard. And I even met him once in his first year of law school for a cup of coffee. But I always used to say to him, "You're going to call me in 7 or 8 years, and you're going to tell me you want to become a psychologist." And sure enough, 9 years later, he found doing the real estate corporate law that he was doing to be very lucrative but mind-numbing. Now, here I am in my position of privilege. I'm like an old white guy, a psychologist. I work for an elite university. I have a small private practice. I'm talking to all of you. So you should take what I say with a grain of salt, although I certainly have taught working class students. I have friends who are working class people. I've never equated intelligence with education. But my students ask me occasionally, they'll say, "So what do you believe, Professor Siegel?" And I say, "About what?" And they ask me about the afterlife, or they ask me about religion. And what I say to them is, look, it seems that every culture has religions, and those religions inform their sense of what's possible and what they believe in. And I think human beings are very easily persuaded into believing in things they can't see. But I'm not an atheist. I'm a cautious agnostic, I guess. And so what I tell them is this. I say, what I really believe in, if you had to ask me spiritually what I really believe in, I believe that when we act primarily for our own material gain, just to become more powerful or have more money and more things and houses, etc., and do that just for ourselves, that we become smaller and smaller. But if we are making a good living as a lawyer or a doctor or a business person, whatever, but we take time in our life to consider the feelings and the welfare of others and do volunteer work and do work that takes in a broader view of human experience, I believe that makes us larger. I think we expand through acts of empathy and imagining other people's experience. And I tell my students, I think this would be true on any planet in the universe. In other words, I think of it as a kind of moral law in the universe, generalizing from this little planet that we're living on, circling the sun. And I think that there's a certain kind of happiness that comes from feeling empathy and concern for others and in making a difference. And some of us might spend our life doing that as activists and reformers. But whatever we do, I tell my students, try to keep expanding the circle of your awareness, of your love and attention. And I believe that that will bring you a special kind of happiness, since happiness is not one thing, but it comes to us as we think and feel and go about our lives. I hope this was helpful. Please subscribe to the channel. It'd be great to have you in this network. And see you next time.